Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Grandmaster Games. And our little treat festival continues with a game from another great player, Garry Kasparov. Shout out to Metal Eagle who was the top cheerer on my stream last week. Thank you for the support. And the customary quote. Tactics involve calculations that can tax the human brain. But when you boil them down, they are actually the simplest part of chess and are almost trivial compared to strategy. Coming from Garry Kasparov, who was nicknamed the Beast of Baku, named after his birth city of Baku, Azerbaijan. From 1986 until his retirement in 2005, Kasparov was ranked world number 1 for 225 out of 228 months, achieving a peak rating of 2851 in 1999, which was taken over by Magnus Carlsen in 2013. At the age of 10, Kasparov started training at Mikhail Botvinnik's chess school. Kasparov broke the record for youngest ever undisputed world champion in 1985 at the age of 22, after defeating Anatoly Karpov. The record was previously held by Mikhail Tal. And Kasparov also holds records with a total of 15 for consecutive professional tournament victories and 11 for chess Oscars. He held the FIDE world title till 1993, when disagreements led him to part ways with FIDE. His match with IBM's Deep Blue was a highly publicized event in 1997, when Kasparov became the first world champion to lose a match to a computer under standard time controls. Kasparov was known for his extensive opening preparation and aggressive play in the opening. His style of play has been compared by many to that of Alexander Alekhin, and he himself has acknowledged Alekhin's influence on his play. He has written several chess books and annotated his own games extensively, among other written chess work. Vladimir Kramnik observed on Kasparov that his capacity for study is second to none. There is nothing in chess he has been unable to deal with. And Magnus Carlsen, whom Kasparov coached from 2009 to 2010, said of Kasparov, "I have never seen someone with such a feel for dynamics in complex positions." Now, the 61st Wijk aan Zee Chess Festival took place in Wijk aan Zee, Netherlands in January of 1999. And in the video, you can see a picture of a panoramic view of Wijk aan Zee in winter. The tournament name has gone various transformations from Hoogovens, Wijk aan Zee, Chorus, and the most recent being the Tata Steel Chess Tournament. 14 GMs competed in the very prestigious A event in 1999, including Garry Kasparov, Vishwanathan Anand, Vladimir Kramnik, Alexei Shirov, Vasily Ivanchuk, Peter Swidler, and Veselin Topalov, among others. And Kasparov was the clear favorite to win the tournament, and he did not disappoint. His competition lay in Vishy Anand, who also performed well and notched up second place in the tournament. This was game 26 of the match in round 4. Kasparov's opponent was Vasilin Topalov, the Bulgarian Grandmaster and 2005 FIDE World Chess Champion. Now, this game has been coined as Kasparov's Immortal, being one of the most commented chess games ever with extensive press coverage. So chances are that you have already come across it at some point, and for that I do apologize. However, I could think of no other game to showcase in Garry's case, since this was an exciting and extraordinary chess game, featuring a sacrificial combination which lasted over 15 moves and reflects his immense conceptual skills in chess at a time when he was playing at the peak of his strength. And I hope I can do justice to this masterpiece in this video. So with that said, let's get into the moves of the game. Kasparov with the white pieces and Topalov with the black. And Kasparov began the game with e4 and Topalov responded d6, the Pirc defense, which is named after Vasja Pirc, who was a leading Yugoslav chess player and supporter of this opening for black. And this opening is relatively new and was considered uncommon in the late 19th century, but has gained some popularity in recent times. Black, in hypermodern fashion, does not immediately stake a claim in the center with pawns. Rather, it works to undermine white's center from the flanks. Play then continued with book moves d4 by white achieving a classical central pawn structure with d4 and e4 here. Knight f6, knight c3 and g6, and in this position white has a few options to play with. One of them being f4, which is the Austrian attack and was a favorite of Bobby Fischer. White gets a powerful pawn center over here with the aim of attacking black on the king side. And black usually counters with e5 to exploit white's weaknesses in the dark squares due to the central pawn push. Play can continue here with bishop g7, knight f3, castling, and with bishop d3 being the most common move for white in this position, also known as the Wies variation. An alternative to castling by black is c5, which is the dragon formation in the Austrian attack and strikes at white's center immediately. D takes on c5 here is met with queen a5, whereas bishop b5 check leads to more complex lines. And play can continue here with bishop d7, e5, knight g4, where both h3 and bishop takes on d7 are playable moves for white. The e6 line, however, is quite exciting with f takes on e6, knight g5, bishop takes on b5, and if knight takes on e6, then a perpetual check draw is possible after bishop takes on d4, offering the black queen to white with knight takes on d8. But now comes bishop f2 check, and king d2 is forced here, where bishop e3 check leads to repetition after king e1, bishop f2 check, as was played in a game between Gyla Sachs versus Yasser Seirawan in 1988. Also, after bishop takes on b5, knight takes on b5 leads to more complex play. And another option for white in this position is knight f3, which is the two knight system with the classical d4 and e4 pawn center once again. And play can continue here with bishop g7. If instead black goes with bishop g4, then h3 with initiative to white. So instead bishop g7, bishop e2, castling and castling, where white carries the opening initiative with almost half a pawn's worth of advantage. Other alternatives after g6 by black include bishop g5, bishop c4, and g3, a move which was played at times by Anatoly Karpov with bishop g2 and knight to e2 to follow. Kasparov, however, proceeded with bishop e3 in the game, and after further moves, bishop g7, queen d2, also known as the 150 attack. c6 by Topalov, and if instead you go for knight g4 as black here, threatening to win the bishop pair, then white has bishop g5, and if you try harassing the bishop further with h6, then bishop h4, g5, and the bishop is good on g3 with almost a pawn's worth of advantage to white here. So instead c6 by black and f3 by Kasparov, where we have the Argentine attack structure, since the setup f3, bishop e3 and queen d2 was introduced by Argentinian players around 1930 and again in 1950. b5 by Topalov, pushing on the queen side in anticipation of white's plan to castle long. Knight e2 by Kasparov, where castling long was also playable for white, but knight e2 and knight d7 by black. If instead b4 here, then the knight is fine on a4. So knight d7 instead, and bishop h6 by Kasparov, challenging black's dark bishop. Bishop takes on h6, queen takes on h6, bishop b7, developing the queenside bishop, and a3, preventing b4. e5 and castling long by white. Now queen e7 by Topalov, following suit to prepare castling long, since the white queen prevents castling short. And even if that was not the case, you would not really want to castle long, since black does not have the dark bishop, which makes their dark squares weak on the king side. King b1, always a good move, getting the king off the c-file, and a6 to make the c5 push later in the game. So now knight c1 by Kasparov, rerouting the knight over to b3, which is a much better square for the knight. Castling long, knight b3, e takes on d4 and rook takes on d4, where knight takes on d4 is also playable for white. But rook takes on d4 by Kasparov. So now c5, attacking the rook. Rook d1, knight b6 and g3, opening up this diagonal for the light bishop. King b8, getting the king off the light square, and knight a5 by Kasparov, which is an inaccuracy according to Stockfish and reduces white's initiative. Bishop g2 is the recommended move, where play may continue with knight c4, rook e1, rook e8, bishop f1, knight e5, queen e3, g5, knight a5, d5, e takes on d5, knight takes on d5, knight takes on d5, and rook takes on d5, with almost 2 pawns worth of advantage to white here. But Kasparov played knight a5 in the game, and Topalov played bishop a8, which was also an inaccuracy, better being d5, allowing knight takes on b7 with an equal position. But bishop a8 by Topalov, holding on to the light bishop. Bishop h3 and d5, attacking the center. But now queen f4 check by Kasparov. As such, king a7, rook e1, d4, and knight d5, which pretty much forces knight takes on d5. And now the e-file opens up for white with e takes on d5, discovering an attack on the black queen. As such, queen d6, and Kasparov started the fireworks here with a rook takes on d4, offering a rook sack. And Topalov made a mistake by accepting it with c takes on d4 and handing the initiative back to white in an otherwise equal game. Better was king b6 followed by b4, and once again you don't want to take this poisoned rook with c takes on d4 because of a mate in 3 with queen takes on d4 check, king c7, queen a7 check, bishop b7, and queen takes on b7 is checkmate. As such, queen takes on f4, rook takes on f4, knight takes on d5, rook takes on d7, c takes on b4, a takes on b4, rook e8, rook takes on e8, rook takes on e8, knight b3, rook e1 check, and knight c1 with almost a pawn's worth of advantage to black here. But in the game, Topalov went with c takes on d4. Alright, you can pause the video here if you would like to figure out how to proceed as white. Rook e7 check by Kasparov, offering his other rook to black, which is not really a sacrifice since the rook is immune to capture due to another mating sequence. If queen takes on e7, then comes queen takes on d4 check, king b8, queen b6 check, bishop b7 blocking the check, but now knight c6 check, king a8, and queen a7 is checkmate again. So instead, black played king b6, and Kasparov continued the assault on the black king here with queen takes on d4 check, which pretty much forces king takes on a5. If instead queen c5 blocking the check, then queen takes on f6 check with over 7 pawns of advantage to white. So king takes on a5 by Topalov, and now b4 check forces king a4, queen c3 threatening mate on b3. As such, queen takes on d5 guarding the b3 square. But now rook a7 by Kasparov threatening mate again with a rook takes on a6 and forcing bishop b7. And you can see how much initiative white is getting for the sacrificed rook here. If you try defending the a6 pawn with rook d6, then black is getting mated again, since the queen and the rook on the d file are overworked here. And you can pause the video again if you would like to find the best move for white here. King b2 moving his majesty up a square, and it's completely lost for black here. The threat is queen b3 check, which will be followed by mate. And there is nothing much to do here as black. You can delay the mate by giving up the queen at most. A sample continuation is queen e5, queen takes on e5, rook c8, queen takes on d6, rook takes on c2 check, king takes on c2, bishop b7, rook takes on a6 check, bishop takes on a6, and queen takes on a6 is once again checkmate. So bishop b7 by Topalov, and white can now win some material back, which is what Kasparov did with rook takes on b7, since the black queen is still pinned to the defense of b3. And Topalov played the best move in this position with queen c4, since there is no good way to hang on to the extra material for black here. Rook d6 over here again fails to rook b6, and if rook takes on b6, then again king b2 wins for white. So queen c4, and now queen takes on f6, and as intimidating as Kasparov's play has been so far in the game, black is still up the exchange minus a pawn. But Topalov made a decisive error here and blundered with king takes on a3, giving white a winning advantage of almost 6 pawns. Rook d1 check instead, followed by king b2, rook a8, queen b6, queen d4 check, queen takes on d4, and rook takes on d4 leads to a grinding endgame but offers hope to black with accurate play and drawing chances. But king takes on a3 was played in the game, and Kasparov continued with queen takes on a6 check, forcing king takes on b4. Alright, again you can pause the video here if you would want to find the best move for white. c3 check, a nice intermezzo move by Kasparov. King takes on c3. If instead queen takes on c3, then queen takes on b5 check wins for white. And instead king c5 loses for black with rook c7 check. So king takes on c3, but now comes queen a1 check, king d2 and queen b2 check, king d1. If instead black goes with king e3, then rook e7 check is crushing for black. So king d1 and the fancy bishop f1 by Kasparov attacking the black queen, where the bishop is immune to capture because of yet another mating sequence. If queen takes on f1, then queen c2 check, king e1, rook e7 check, queen e2, and queen takes on e2 is a GG. Instead, Topalov tried rook d2, attacking the white queen, but now another colorful move by Kasparov with rook d7, pinning the rook. And rook takes on d7 is best for black, which is what Topalov went for. But now black suffers serious material loss with bishop takes on c4, losing the queen and a rook with b takes on c4 and queen takes on h8. If you try saving the rook over here as black, then you are getting mated with queen c1 check. So b takes on c4, queen takes on h8, and Topalov played on for a bit here with rook d3, but it's pretty much hopeless for black. And after queen a8, c3, queen a4 check, king e1, f4, f5, king c1, rook d2, and queen a7. He resigned. King e2 is the recommended move in this position by Stockfish, but then the white queen starts picking up black's pawns like ripe tomatoes. But Topalov did not wait for that and resigned here. So there you go, Kasparov's Immortal, and rightly so. Hope you enjoyed the video and the game. Till next time, take care.